Hello folks, and welcome to the next video in our series of answering your most pressing electric vehicle questions. Given the time of year that I'm making this video, which is at the end of 2021, I would like to wish everyone watching a happy new year. So, in this episode today, we are going to be answering just one question. It is going to be a long answer. That's why we're dedicating just one specific video to it. And so the usual health warning applies. This is going to be long. It's going to be boring. It's going to be potentially informative. If you don't like that, press pause, go up there and type funny cat video and press enter, or you will be safely taken away from this train wreck. Also, should you wish to view this without PooTube's advertisements for aftershave or VPNs or whatever they're trying to push on you, it will be also available on Vimeo. So, what is the question? Question is, what car should I convert? And it kind of branches out into different versions. Sometimes it's what is the best car that I should convert? Why would I wish to convert this car? Why could I not convert that car? So it all basically, it's maybe 4 or 5 different ways of asking the same thing, but it's basically folks coming along and saying to me, what car should I convert? So my usual answer to that, the short version for those of you that don't want to hang around here for 40 minutes listening to me waffling on, is, well, pick a car that you like and that you enjoy driving, enjoy working on, and that you want to keep for a long time. And whatever that car, vehicle, farm machinery, bus, whatever it is, that's the one that you can convert. So that's it. Video finished. Bye-bye. Okay, not that straightforward. So the usual path to folks asking me this question is that they have, first of all, gotten the seed of the idea that they want to convert a car. They've gone off into the internet yonder and sought out information. Now, the internet has many, many benefits, brought some good things to us. But also, it, in one sense, is a great leveler of information. And unfortunately, all of that information tends to end up equally weighted. So somebody with a lot of experience that knows what they're talking about may make a certain statement. Equally, someone with little bit of information, maybe some experience, makes a completely counter statement to that, and someone with no experience that's just made something up in their own head says another completely different thing, but everything gets the same weighting. So to somebody coming into the project, it's like, whoa, well, this guy says I should convert this kind of a car. This person says I shouldn't. And the third person says something completely different. You should just, I don't know, buy a Tesla or something. So folks come to me and the question is usually asked, but then there'll be a few paragraphs of kind of discussion as to what they want to do, but why someone told them they couldn't, or maybe someone told them they could, but it doesn't make sense to them, and so on. So what we're going to do here, in order to try to make this a definitive answer, at least as definitive as anyone can be watching some Irish idiot talking into his phone. Okay, better cut that bit out. So, we have to go back to when folks started performing conversions on a DIY basis. And usually, if you trace that back, and I'm not saying that this is the only place, because I'm sure it's not, but most of the movement happened in kind of jumps as reactions to the various oil shocks of the preceding decades. And it was typically in the United States, and people would not want to be reliant upon foreign energy. And I think that's a good thing anyway. That's, something all of us should try to aspire to. But my prepper notions aside, the one thing that has survived from all of those builds is the notion that if you're going to pick a vehicle for a conversion, it should be light, it should be small, and it should be aerodynamic. And you really shouldn't pick any vehicle that does not satisfy at least two of those three, ideally all three. And that has survived from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way through to where we sit today at the end of 2021. And because of the depth of that, it's nearly the first thing that people see. It's the most frequent thing that people see. So when they come to me looking for advice and I say, well, convert whatever car that you like, or and so on, they'll come back to me and say, oh, but such and such a vehicle is not going to work as an electric vehicle because it's not light, small, and aerodynamic. So the next thing that happens then is that folks do some more research, and commercial conversion companies tend to have a much higher profile than DIY folks, simply because they're in business. So they're wanting to promote the work that they do. They do very clean builds, promote them on various social media platforms, TV, all that kind of thing. And I won't say all, but a good proportion of the vehicles that are commercially converted, even to this day, like if you want to see some examples, take a look in the United States at the likes of EV West, and in kind of this side of the pond, probably Zero EV in the UK. And if you look at kind of a section through the vehicles that they tend to promote, they tend to be small, light, and aerodynamic. So that then comes along and works as a reinforcement to that piece of information that people have came upon. So they think, right, okay, so I'd better go and find myself something like a small sports car, like be it a Porsche or an MG or some other, little two-seater convertible type thing. So when they then come to me and I say, well, go and convert a 7 Series BMW that has the aerodynamics of a sheet of plywood and weighs almost 3 tons. They kind of, view that with some skepticism. So, next question is then we need to dig back in to ask ourselves, where did that small, light aerodynamic thing come from? And it came from one thing, that is batteries. When before lithium batteries were as prevalent as they are today, the only real battery that folks could get their hands on was the lead acid. Yes, there were some folks did them with flooded NiCads, and there were a few, nickel metal hydride packs floating around, but 99% of EV builds were done with lead acid batteries. And indeed, my first build, back in 2009, the E36 Compact, would, at the end of its lead acid stage, have 400 kilograms of lead acid batteries, giving a usable energy of somewhere around 5 to 6 kilowatt hours. I'll repeat that so you don't need to move the little bar there. I had over 400 kilograms of lead acid batteries in a 2-door E36 Compact. If you don't know what that car is, just stick it in Google and you'll get a picture of it. And I got about maybe 5 kilowatt hours of usable energy out of that battery. So the guiding principle, if you're going to build an electric car, was that it needed to be small so that it didn't have much aerodynamic forces acting on it. It needed to be as light as possible because you were going to be stuffing an unreal amount of weight into that car. So that is where that, call it the big three criteria came from. Now, if folks have difficulty believing that, what I would suggest that you do is go on to my YouTube channel, go all the way back to 2009 to 2010. And you'll see some truly cringe-worthy videos on there. I mean, I'm pretty cringe-worthy now, but this stuff is next level. We shot on a VHS camcorder. You go look at that build with the lead acid. You then see when I did the lithium, the first lithium pack in it. We went from 400 kilos, so 400 kilograms, 5 kilowatt hours, a range of about 12 miles, the acceleration of a tractor, to, hope I'm remembering this correctly, it'll be in the videos, but I'm nearly sure it was 75 kilogram lithium pack with little under 10 kilowatt hours of usable energy. And a car went up to about, I'm going to say, 30 miles probably at a stretch of range. Now this is the same car. Now this is the important bit. This was the only time that I had a build that began with a lead pack and then shifted to not just one, but actually several lithium packs, because I was getting them, testing them, doing all kinds of things. But it was the same car. So what does that tell us? Well, what that tells us is that the biggest influential factor in an EV build is not what car it is. It's what battery it is. Because what people were really saying was not that the car should be small, light, and aerodynamic. What they were saying was that they wished that the battery was small, light, and easy to fit or something, or had a million charge-discharge cycles on it. Now, we haven't quite got to that phase yet, but my next build, again, if you want to rewind the videos and go back to the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, you will see the first car that I built from scratch with a lithium battery. And that is the E39 Saloon, which I refer to as the land yacht, because it was by far and away the biggest car that I had ever driven. Big, heavy, not aerodynamic at all. That car got from scratch. Now, can I remember this? It was 32, I'm going to say 33 kilowatt hour lithium pack. And that car would comfortably do 100 miles. I did it several times. The longest journey that I did in the car, and I actually rolled it to a stop. It basically just would not drive anymore. I was just pressing the accelerator all the way to the floor, and it literally just glided into the charging station. It was 111 miles. And that was, I'm going to say 90% motorway driving, 60, 70 miles per hour. The reason that it could do that had nothing to do with the characteristics of the car. It was all to do with the characteristics of the battery. So I hope I can get this point out there across to folks. So when you hear me say, well, you know, pick whatever car that you like, that you're going to, that what you have to do is, you come along and you say, right, I want an electric car, but I don't like a Tesla and I don't want to drive a Nissan Leaf or something. I want to build one myself for whatever the reason may be. Maybe it's to save money. Maybe it's you like a particular vehicle. You enjoyed the challenge. You want to be able to maintain it yourself. There's just a plethora of things. But whatever the reason is, the vehicle that you pick, number one, must fit the needs that you're going. It must fit the need that you have for it. So what do I mean by that? Well, my next project is a pickup truck, because I'm moving to the countryside, and we'll have a video on that for you soon. And you're going to see me working on my new property. So I need a vehicle that can haul 8x4 sheets of plywood. And the inner American in me has always wanted a pickup truck. So now I'm going to convert a pickup truck. Previously, I commuted to work 70 something miles a day, and I wanted a comfortable car that I would enjoy driving, that I liked, that had a little bit of character to it, and that was the land yacht, the E39. Then I came along and I wanted a car that had a little bit of carrying capacity in it, and that's the Grey Goose, the E46 Touring that I'm currently touring the whole country in, collecting, as I call them, house parts. Only a few days ago I had a big aluminium door strapped to the roof of it and drove it 180 miles with that strapped on. So it's about the car that works for you, the car that fits your needs, one that you're going to want to keep, and that just does it for you. I mean, one of the reasons that you see the commercial companies converting, say, a lot of Porsches is that they have a really big cult following. Like, a lot of people like Porsches. Now, personally, I don't. They don't do anything for me. But I can see the appeal, and it makes sense then for the commercial companies to, for example, produce kits for doing conversions on these vehicles. So that's where it is. So to wrap up and to summarize, hopefully, there's no longer a restriction on people as to what vehicle that you want to choose because you're doing a conversion. There may be restrictions on you for budget, for size, for lots of different reasons. But there is no longer, thanks to modern batteries that we can now get, there is no longer a restriction on what vehicle classes, what vehicle types that you should use for a EV conversion. You can pick any vehicle that you please, as long as it fits your needs. So think of it like if you were doing something straightforward, like swapping a diesel engine or swapping a larger engine into a vehicle where you'd pick one. You wouldn't have, it wouldn't be, oh, I'd better not pick this one, because it's not aerodynamic enough, say. One little tip that I'll give just before wrapping up is, if you want to do a modification to your car to increase its efficiency, I see people doing all kinds of things. I've seen folks putting bolt tails on cars. I've seen them sealing up gaps, all this kind of thing. Well, okay, it'll do something. But if you want to make a step change, put low rolling resistance tires on your car and keep them at the manufacturer's recommended tire pressure. By far and away, that is the biggest effect that you can have on the efficiency of your car. It doesn't matter if that's a pickup truck or an E31 or a Porsche 911 or whatever it may be. Having the right tires on for the job makes a big difference. So, folks, that is it. As you can see, I've shot the video here today from the get-go in order to avoid Gomcat and his tendency to ruin my day. So I hope that this video will not only answer the question, but provide some background to that answer. And by providing background to it, make it a little bit more understandable. So I'll wrap it up. As always, check the links in the description. I will see if I can dig out some of my super cringe-worthy VHS videos for you and link them in there. Particularly when I did the lead acid to lithium conversion the first time. There'll be the usual links in there for GitHub, Patreon and PayPal. You know, if you want to support me financially on those platforms, then do, but you probably really don't, so nah, don't. Because then I just do more of this stuff, and that's just silly. Also in there, link to the Open Inverter forum. And I would recommend you to go over there, even if you don't want to create an account, you don't like forums, any of that sort of stuff, that's fine. Go into the projects section and just take a look through some of the builds on there, which will hopefully reinforce some of the things that I've mentioned in this video. So that's it. Don't forget to dislike, don't share this crap with anyone. They won't thank you for it. Unsubscribe if you found yourself accidentally subscribed. And until next year, happy vehicle choice.